Yesterday was a dark day for cricket in general, as Australia, which is considered as one of the big three nations in modern day cricket, was left ashamed and embarrassed after its captain Stephen Smith admitted and confessed to hatching a plan with its senior members of the Australian cricket team in relation to ball tampering. Now, this is the incident in question and the fallout from that incident.
Cameron Bancroft, the fielder chosen to carry out the tampering, admitted to cheating after Bancroft was caught on television using a piece of sticky tape to rub dirt into the ball, then trying to hide the tape down his trousers when umpires suspected something was up.
I've been charged with attempting to change the condition of the ball. Yeah, look, we had a discussion during the break yeah, on myself, I saw an opportunity to potentially use some tape, get some granules from the rough patches on the wicket, and tried to I guess change the ball condition. It didn't work. The umpires didn't obviously change the ball, but I guess once I was sighted on the screens and having done that, I panicked quite a lot, and yeah, that obviously resulted in me shoving it down my trousers. So.
It was fake. Yeah, the leadership group knew about it. We spoke about it at lunch, and I'm not proud of what's happened. It's not within the spirit of the game. My integrity, the team's integrity, the leadership group's integrity has come into question, and rightfully so. It's certainly not on, and it won't happen again, I can promise you that, under my leadership.
The Australian Sports Commission, the lead government agency responsible for Australian sport, has called for Steve Smith to be sacked immediately in the wake of the ball tampering scandal. Cricket Australia CEO James Sutherland called it a sad day for Australian cricket, but said the governing body would take no action against Smith or coach Darren Lehmann until a full investigation was complete.
I was extremely disappointed and shocked to hear the news and read the news this morning after the events in Cape Town yesterday, and from a Cricket Australia perspective, we regard this as an extremely serious issue. Australian cricket fans want to be proud of their cricket team. They want to be proud of the Australian cricket team. And I think this morning they have every reason to wake up and not be proud of the team. It's a very sad day for Australian cricket.
The incident also reached the national level, with Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull joining in on the debate.
We all woke up this morning shocked and bitterly disappointed by the news from South Africa. It seemed completely beyond belief that the Australian cricket team had been involved in cheating. I've spoken with David Peever, the chairman of Cricket Australia, just a moment ago, and he has said to me that Cricket Australia will be responding decisively, as they should. This is a shocking disappointment, and it's wrong, and I look forward to Cricket Australia taking decisive action soon.
I don't care who you are, you can't tamper with the ball. Now, we don't know, we can't make accusations because you don't know. I don't care if it's Australia or South Africa, you just can't do the things that it looks like that we all think it's doing. So, to me, that'd be really disappointing, and a lot of the Australian sides I played in, I never did anything like that.
Yeah, it looks terrible. Now, for me, he's definitely tampering with the ball. I think the footage shows that he's using a foreign object to alter the ball, and then the following footage of him hiding away and everything else just makes it look worse.
This clearly is against the laws of the game, and we've just had our national captain and our national team admit that they sat down, premeditated, pre-planned a way to cheat.
What a day. A terrible one for Australian cricket, to be honest, and I guess, look, I'm pretty emotional about it all, to be honest, so it's going to be quite hard for me to talk about, but I think I have no doubt in my mind Steve Smith will be sitting in his hotel room right now in tears. I have no doubt in my mind that every past Australian cricketer will be absolutely shattered with what we found out this morning.
No, it's definitely not a good look, and as you said, it's suspicious, and if the Australians have done the wrong thing, they've obviously got to pay the price.
Australia hasn't been done for ball tampering before, to my knowledge, and every team tries to get a ball to reverse under natural circumstances. When they bounce it in, the umpires tell them, no, you can't do that, you've got to throw it straight in, and they try and push the envelope there. But this seems to be, if it is the case and it's proved, it seems to be a calculated decision of how they were trying to go about the process and trying to get things done, and I think that will get them into the hot water.
In the latest development, Australia captain Steve Smith has been banned for one match and fined his entire match fee by the ICC. Cricket Australia also announced that Australian captain Steve Smith and vice-captain David Warner have stood down from their respective leadership roles for the remainder of the third test against South Africa in Cape Town. Wicketkeeper Tim Paine will act as captain in Newlands, with both Smith and Warner taking the field.
Former Indian cricketer and commentator Sanjay Manjrekar, speaking exclusively to Newsfirst, shared his thoughts on this ball tampering incident. Newsfirst also reached out to other commentators and pundits to get their opinion on this incident.
This is unfortunate, and they've accepted that as well, and I think there should be zero tolerance for cheating. I can understand emotions and language sometimes, going out of control, but cheating is something that has to be dealt with very firmly, and the strongest action possible should be taken. And I expect nothing less from the ICC and Cricket Australia.
Normally, this is a level 2 offence, and what the ICC would do is ICC would generally punish the offender with either a 1-match ban or a 2-match ban, or they could even give them a fine. Purely, if you take this in isolation, I think Cameron Bancroft at most might get a match or 2 as a suspension. But I say that this is a different situation because Steve Smith has gone on record accepting, taking total responsibility for what has happened, and he has also gone on record to say that this was pre-planned by the Australian Leadership Committee. Now this is what I say is unprecedented. I feel that this is a deliberate thing, and therefore this is one of the darkest days in cricket. I would add a little bit more and say the darkest day possibly in the history of world cricket.
What happened in Australia is downright disgraceful. Ball tampering should not be accepted under any circumstances. It is downright cheating. Cheating. Nobody could. He has taken the glue or gum in his pocket with the deliberate intention of applying it on the ball and gaining undue advantage. You polish the ball on one side and the ball swings. So you can't accept anybody with ball tampering. In Australia is famous for sledging. From the time of Alan Border, they have been world champions, but they have adopted questionable means of enhancing their standing in the cricket world by resorting to a degree of cheating, which I am proud Sri Lankans don't resort to.
Now, there were plenty of reactions on this incident on Twitter as well. Let's quickly take a look at some tweets that we highlighted. Michael Vaughan, former English captain himself and an international commentator, says, some heads will roll, and rightly so, but you have to think every single player and management knew what they were trying to do. 12th man Hanscom was on the walkie-talkie, he was on it, so in my eyes they are all bad as each other. Sky News Australia reports the Minister of Sports in Australia saying that cheating scandal is a sad day for Australian cricket. He says the Australian public expects players to abide by the rules and for our elite athletes to lead by example. Those are the comments of the Australian Minister of Sports. And EWN Sports, a sports network affiliated in South Africa, reports Cricket Australia is sending 2 officials to South Africa to investigate the ball tampering issue, and hopefully they will be taking action after this investigation done by these 2 individuals are completed. Former Test batsman Simon Kattick has told an Australian radio station that Cricket Australia has no option but to sack Smith, Warner and Lehman. Stephen Smith is the captain, David Warner is the vice captain, and Darren Lehman is the coach of the Australian side. Also, 10 Sports reports Adam Gilchrist, who you heard earlier as well, as saying we are now the laughingstock of not just the cricketing world, but the sporting world as well. And finally, Kevin Peterson, outspoken English batsman who retired a couple of weeks ago, says slept on it, Lehman, Sekhar and the leadership groups are untenable. They've disgraced a great cricketing nation and Test cricket itself. Now, these are some of the reactions that we highlighted on Twitter. We also spoke with one of our local experts, that is Mahinda Vijay-Singha, a veteran cricket writer. We spoke to him a short while ago to get his views on this incident. Let's take a look at this recording. Now, when we remember about the Australian cricket team, the first incident that jumps to mind relating to Sri Lanka is how they treated Muthaiya Muralidharan back in the 1990s when he was accused of chucking. Now, is this, with this incident coming to light, does this seem a bit hypocritical?
Of course it does. In fact, that is what they do, not only to Murali, but Murali was the biggest victim, because what they did to Murali is unpardonable, because even the ICC had appointed experts in biomechanics to look into this matter, and they said, gave an all clear signal. But still they went on and on and on at him, because people like Beno and the senior commentators like that were out to get Murali, because they were thinking of only promoting Shane Warne. That is what happened. And the other thing is, whenever any team goes there, first they start attacking through the media. Then they start attacking with the spectators. Then they also use umpires. Now, for instance, there were 2 umpires. Ross Emerson, who was found to be having a mental problem, and then, of course, the famous one and only Darrell Hare, who recently, about 2 years back, I think, was found to have been pilfering the monies in the office he was working in. So, in other words, and he was a gambler. So, when you have people of that moral standards, they can't umpire, or at least they can be brought up to do what the other people want him to do. So, therefore, this question of the Australian conduct in recent times, the only thing I can think of a worse scandal than this was the 1932-33 Bodyline series, when there was a big scandal. And I think the next one is 85 years or so later, this is what we have got now.
Now, Stephen Smith and the Australian team has won the Spirit of the Cricket Award before as well, but with incidents of sledging taking the front, especially in the Australia versus England series, what do you think will happen to the future of Australia cricket in terms of the spirit of the game?
Well, it is, you don't have to be a prophet to know what the future is going to hold, unless Cricket Australia takes very, very strict measures, because don't forget, but Smith has been now suspended by the ICC and his match fee taken off and so forth. But Cricket Australia, the CEO, James Sutherland, stated that this is not the end of the story. We are going to take very serious action. Now, if they are going to take more serious action than what the ICC has done, they'll have to take some very, very serious action, because that means most likely the 5 senior players who were at lunchtime planning this out, but let the youngest man in the cricket team to use as a cat's paw, I think that was treacherous.
I mean, Bancroft is one of the youngest players in the team, as you said. What do you think will be the future of the senior players that you mentioned, and in fact, indeed, Coach Darren Lehman as well? What kind of actions, in your opinion, should be taken to rectify such issues and to make sure that such incidents do not happen again?
Well, obviously, in fact, as Shane Warne himself has said, that this could not have happened without the knowledge of the coach also, because they said that they were discussing this matter at lunchtime. And if they are the senior players having a discussion at lunchtime, surely you don't expect the coach to be smoking a cigarette or something, being somewhere else. He also would have participated in this. So therefore, he can't make any excuses unless and until the Australian Cricket Australia takes very, very serious action. Their credibility in the eyes of the world will also be ruined.
We thank Mr. Vijay Singh for joining us earlier on in the day.